Okay, so in this lecture, I'm going to talk about how to access a database using PHP. So this is pretty much going to be everything you need to know to complete assignment 5. Okay, the first thing you're going to need is a way to run PHP. If you either use your CIS account, and if you Google on the CIS webpage, since everyone has a CIS account because they're in the CIS class, there's a way to run PHP from your account. If you want to run it locally and you have a Mac or a Windows machine, XAMPP is probably the easiest way from Apache and Friends. And it's actually what I'm using for this tutorial, where you install it, then you could use the control panel to start Apache and then run code locally. So here's the website for that. For this tutorial, I've actually made some templates. So I've made, I'll post this. This is posted on Canvas. I've made some pages that uses Bootstrap. So if you don't know Bootstrap, Bootstrap is CSS framework. I'm using version 3.37. Bootstrap 4 is like the one if you go to just normal Bootstrap, but it's in beta. I haven't learned it yet. I'm still using the old 3.37 is the latest one. So I've used that, and in this template, if you look at it, what we have is we'll have a query page, we have an update page, and an add page. So I have a page for each task, and I'm going to pretty much go through in this kind of video, go through and actually pretty much do the assignment for the most part. We'll see how far I get. Okay, so we're going to be using PDO, so PHP data objects. So I talked about how when we access databases from a program or from an application, we usually use some kind of framework, framework or middleware that actually does a lot of the handling of the database, that actually connects to it and runs the query and gets results. In this case, we're going to use PDO. It's probably the most simplest, as it's the built-in data objects for PHP, although there's some other external other frameworks you could use. Regardless of what you're using, the steps really to access any database is you establish a connection, you execute some code, and then you close the connection. Like regardless if you're using, if you're in C++ and using, or even C and using connections to SQLite, it's always you create the database connection to the database, you execute the command, you close the connection, right? And so there's pretty much no different with the PDO. So if we look at some of the class, let's see, we're going to pretty much connect to the database, execute some kit code, and then actually just close our connection. I don't see that there, but that's fine. So let's see what I want to do. So the first thing we're going to do is actually look at the code that I've created, I guess would be a good start. So there's an index, which is that first page. There's the header and footer, or actually, if you look at the index here, I have this require. I'm assuming you know a little bit of PHP. Even if you don't, you can probably get away with just the basics. PHP is within this code here, and all we really need to do is write the database code and a little bit of PHP code for the most part. Okay, and one thing I've done, which I tend to like to do, is I created a database class, and this is also in the file. And this is just going to be what I'm going to use to manage. So I have a class that's just going to manage the databases. And the reason I do this is because it makes it a little easier if you change databases and everything, to separate the code away from the actual presentation layer. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is, let me look at our page again. So when we query, we're supposed to be able to select a flower, and then the flower is going to make something happen, right? So the first thing I need to do is I need to know what flowers I have. So let's go back to my code. And remember, so I kind of have probably this get flowers method. But remember, everything's the same. I create a creation, I create a connection, I do some execution, and then I close the database. Right. So let's start with the connection. I create a method connection, so that way I could just reuse the code. I don't have to keep on using it everywhere. So if connection, I gotta remember my PHP. If not is set. This should be. So I'm just, if the connection is not set, then and this is a PHP specific thing, or I usually use. I tend to use right now I'm using just a notepad. I tend to not to program in a notepad, mainly because IDEs are great, and this is not right. And some of the syntax I don't remember very well, and I just kind of rely on that IDE. But for this case, I am actually using Notepad just to get this done. Okay, so if it's not set or it's null, I need to create the connection. So connection is going to be equal to, and then here's where we create the connection. And all we'll actually do is do new PDO, so new paid object, and here we got to put the, and then here in the middle here, right here, I'm going to put the connection tree, or it's also known as a data source name, DSN. You'll see in this case it's pretty easy. SQLite. It's an SQLite file, and it's going to be in. It should live in the same. I don't think I have the database there. So all this is saying is SQLite, and I'm trying to point to that file. Right now that file is not there. Right, so I need to go grab it. Flowers, it's actually called flowers. Okay, let's go back to my code. Flowers. Okay, to see if that's going to work, first thing we need to do is include our class. So right now the class isn't in the part of the file, so we're going to say require database.php. Okay, I want to create the objects. I'm going to say database equals, I can't remember if we use new in PHP. See, this is the kind of thing where it would help. Let's try new. I don't think we need, actually, I'm pretty sure I don't need new. So what do I call it? I call it database, right? Yeah, database object. Okay, let's go back to our browser. Let's see if that runs. Nope. Syntax error, line 7. What am I doing wrong here? T string, expecting function, T function or constant, and I think it's because of this up here. No, let me get. Oh, that's what it was. No. Okay, let's see. Parse error. So I don't need void. Let's recheck my. Oh, so class. Let's see, make sure I have. Ah, that's why. So I'll fix that in the, maybe I won't. You guys can figure it out. Okay, call to undefined function database. Let me go back to my code. So this is, oh, new, it is new. There we go. Okay. So now back to database. That means my connection. Oh, I used new in my. Okay, it's late. I'm tired. Okay. So first thing we need to do is get the flowers, right? We want to get the list of flowers so we know what to return. Let me look at the schema one more time. Flowers, genus, species, common name. Common name is what, if you look at this, I think common name is what it's used to, is the key. Yep. Okay, so it's mainly common name I really want, but we're going to return the whole thing. Okay, so remember, open connection. We need to open a connection, execute our code, and then close the connection. It's pretty much simple as that. So let's go. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we could just always say get this get connection. Okay, once I have the connection, I'm going to execute the code. So for a simple select statement, we're just going to use this connection. So let's look at our PDO documentation. We're just going to use execute in this case. We're going to use two things. We're going to use execute and prepare. So for just execute, that's objects. Go back to okay. PDO. So things we're going to use. So you could pretty much do everything using just execute, or even just query. Where you query and then you do the statement, and the statement is just pretty much your XML. I mean your XML, your SQL. So here's a good example right here. So get fruit, select name, color, calories, and fruit from fruit order by name. You would just query connection query as a row, and you kind of loop through it, right? And so I only use query. I'll use query in this case, but if you're ever inserting, adding, you want to do something called prepare, and I'll show you an example of that. And the reason is it's prepare will prepare a statement, and then you just pass it parameters, and all the that when you pass the parameters to the prepared statement, it actually does all the coding and handles a lot of the safety that that may happen. All the safety things we talked about, query injection, all those kind of things. But for this, we're going to use go ahead and use the query, just because we're doing select and we're not passing any information. So get connection. I usually always have like SQL, another variable, and here we're going to select star from flowers. That's all it is. Connection query SQL. This is going to get a result, right? So result is equal to the query, and then just like in this example here, we're going to do the for each. What's the syntax? Result as row, and we're pretty much going to do the same thing they did here. Oh, they printed. Okay, what I want to do is actually, I'm going to create an array. So result array. There's actually a way to get this to do it for you, but I'll just do it this way. So result array. I don't know if this is going to work. So this is usually pushing and push a new array. Actually, let's do this. Current row is equal to array. So what I'm doing here, I'm just I'm getting the results back. So the results are going to be in this result set right here. So I should say results. Choose results. And we'll go through each row, right? So each row, I'm going to create a new array, and then the current row, and I'm going to name or com name is going to be equal to row, and then it should be named the same, com name. When you're in doubt, you can always print, like, you know, in order to see the values. If you're not using IDE, you can't do breakpoints. Current row. I don't really need Genius for this, for what I'm using it for right now, but I only want one function. So I don't want to have to, just because I'm lazy and it's faster. And this is such a small thing that if you had a really big website, you would not want to, and you didn't actually need all this other data, you probably wouldn't want to return it. Oops. Species. Okay, so common name. Let's see if those are correct. Genus, species, common name. Okay. So, and then here is pushing it at the back of the results. Oh, you know what I want to do? I want to order it. Yeah, order by com name. It's going to do ascending automatically. So I did put all the groups in this array, and then I need to return result array. Okay, I'm going to go back to my so I did that, and I'm going to go back to my HTML. Repeat here. Let's just say flowers is equal to database dot get flowers. Let's see if this works. We'll see if it gives me an error. Should may. It did. Unexpected. Line 17. PHP array. I'm not creating the array correctly. It's just that's what happens when you just move between too many. Actually, you know, to make it blank, I can just come this. Maybe not. Oh, let's just do this array. Okay, let's read the documentation. I need to create a blank array. swear I've done this before. Call to member function query on null. That means, okay, that means this was not right. So if not set or is null. Oh, duh. Yeah, no, what's going on? Or is null. That's why. Oh, undefined index name, com name. What did I do wrong? So it's not finding the com name, which is weird. Am I not spelling it right? It should be cookie sensitive. Okay, line 20. Line 20. Undefined index genus. Should be adding it. Wait, in the row or in the? I think it's actually messing up here. It's been a while since I've done PHP, but it should have been. It should have allowed me to. Arrays are actually named, so I'm surprised it's not letting me do that. But is it the row or? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just there's a function called printr, and it does print readable, and we're just going to print out the row to make sure I'm doing this right. So there's a little debugging, so you should probably genus species. Oh, it's because PHP is actually case sensitive. There we go. Get rid of this. Okay. So that's a bunch of space. I'm actually getting it closer. We're gonna go back to index. Okay, I have all the flowers. So what I need to do now is in this form, here's the form. I'm gonna change something. I want to submit method is get. Okay, so here's the flower. So right here, I'm gonna need to hash option value equals -1, select 1. So now what we're doing is adding the options flowers. So here we have some more PHP, and all we need to do is for each flowers as f, we're going to echo. So I'm just printing here. I could have done it. This is, or we could do this if we want. Let's do this instead. So you see me like move between a lot of things, but here we'll just do the for each. This is in. Now I can just do option value equals quotes option optl. Okay, here we do PHP echo f com name. Oops. I'm going to close this quote. you will see something like this. It's known as a short tag. They're not always on. I don't know if it's actually on my server right now. Oops. So this is pretty much the same thing as what I just wrote over here, but it's known as a short tag, where it's actually going to do the echo. I don't know if that's going to work, because I don't know if I have it set up that way. It looks like I do. Let's see. Well, let me look at the. Oh, down here's my debugging tools that come with all browsers these days, which is kind of nice. And the value, it's there. Okay. So I'm able to see what the HTML code looks like as well as the CSS. And you could turn this on if you're using, this is Chrome, so it's Control-Shift-I. But it's also if you go to more tools, developer tools. Okay, so here we have all the flowers in our database. So if I select one and I do go, nothing happened like I wanted it to. Let's see. ID flower. Why didn't I get set? Oh, value helps. I'm expecting it to show up in the URL, and it's not. Let me look at. I'm missing things. I'm missing a name. ID. There we go. Which means I'm missing. So I was missing the name tag there. I had the ID, and if it was Internet Explorer, it would use the ID, but name is the right thing. So now you'll see here when I submit, I see the flower up here, right? So if I select one, I'll see -1. Okay, so we have the flowers. We're able to select. Now we need to do the query part. Okay. So what we need to do is look at our variables. So first thing I want to do is say if is set. So let's check if a variable set, and this is going to be the get. So the get is, so if I go to the PHP and do, it might be only 1 underscore. Yeah. So this is the get variables. It gets the variables that are passed through the get command. There's get and post, right? So posts are ones that are posts. You can't see them in the URL. Gets are in the query string. So it's only one URL. So we go back to my right. So I did the get. So it means I'm trying to get this variable here. So if get is set and is oops, this one. And is set get flower okay, if it's set, then I want to get it, but I gotta check one more thing. If get flower is equal to -1, I'm going to set a, so I'm going to say message is equal to null. Okay, if flower is equal to -1, that means you need to select message is equal to please select a flower. So if I get here, that means they didn't select a flower. Okay, else. Okay, we have a flower, right? We're actually going to set the flower is equal to get flower. Okay, so if I wanted to, I should be able to do, where's this? Settings for PHP. Oops, let's do the quick tag flower. Okay, let's see if that works. So I'm going to collect. Go. Oops. Go. Right, so it works there. Okay, so we're able to get the flower from the query, so that's good. Next, we need to get the flower from sightings from the database. Before that, I can do one thing. I'm going to add here some PHP. I'm going to add the error message. Okay, so PHP if message if not is null message. So it's not null. I'm going to echo just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. Okay, when echo a div that has a class of background error, or what's called, yeah, error. The background error should be a helper class in Bootstrap, and then when echo my message, and then close it. So let's just make sure that works. So this will work if they don't select one. So if we go select one, syntax error, unexpected echo on line 19. Oh, didn't close it. Please select a flower, which that's okay. So let me go to my CSS. I think they're helper classes, contextual colors, contextual backgrounds. Background should be background danger. Okay, let's try that. There we go. Ugly. Let's just put a break there. It's pretty ugly, but it's gonna work. There should be an easy way to fix this. Let's see. Can't remember what it's called in. It is back to the top. It's a component, maybe a well. I think it might be a well. Oh, it's a panel. Let's see. Let's do this. Oh, I think there's a panel with context, right? Let's just do this. I wonder if that's gonna work. Just trying to make it a little nicer. Nope, that didn't work. Panel default. Oops, panel with contextual alternatives. Okay, so we're just adding. Okay, see if that worked. Sort of, but I'm missing a close div. I get rid of this break. Okay, so again, this is like, you really don't need to do this. I don't know why I'm doing it, to be honest with you. So it just makes it nicer if they get an error. Okay, so let's select one. It should show up. That should not show up. It shows up sightings for this. Okay, we actually need to get this data, right? So let's go back to our database. We have the flower. So we're going to get the flower, and we're going to say sightings is going to equal to database get sightings flower. We're going to pass the flower. So we go to our database, get sightings. Here's our flower. Okay, remember, what do? First, we open our connection. So we're going to. You should have this for every, because you don't know if the connection is going to be active, so you should get it. Oh, one thing we're not doing, we're not closing, which, now that I think about it, I can't remember if PDO has a close function, although it should. Let's see. Prepare quote query construct. It does not. Close cursor. That's for the statement. That's not for the database. Okay, so in this case, it's a very rare case where you actually don't close the database. I'm going to close it though down here. I'm just going to say connection is equal to null. I can't believe there's not a close connection. Let me Google it. PDO close connection remains active for the lifetime of the PDO object. The close connection will destroy the object. You do this by signing null, so it's just what I just did. I would do it. I don't know. It's very weird that it doesn't have a close. If you use something else, like if you use Python and Flask, you close it. Pretty much everything else you always close it, but it might be just setting it to null. Okay, so we're gonna get the connection. Okay, now we need to do this is where it's gonna be different. So my SQL is going to be select star from sightings where name, and this is remember this name is equal to, and I'm going to use this weird colon flower. Okay, because what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be preparing. I'm going to prepare the sequence. Since you don't have to actually done the query, and I could done just like I did up here. But I'm going to do, this is actually a better way to do it, and I really suggest you do it. Statement. So we're going to say this database, or no, we don't need to do that, because database is already defined. No, we don't. This connection. Prepare, and we're going to give it the SQL, and this returns a PDO statement. And then what we're going to do next is then say statement. We need our results is going to equal to statement prepare, and then here I'm going to say I forget the format. PDO prepare. So we're going to actually, I should be executing. So here's the prepare, right? So you have the statement. You pretty much do. You also do just if you do like question marks, you just pass an array, and that array has the is not named, but in my case it's named and it's also an array. So statements. Okay, we prepared it. Now we need to execute. And this is a array where flower is going to be equal to my flower. Make sure it's the right syntax. Yeah. This is pretty much creating a named array. And then I'm forgetting parentheses. Okay, and then so I have all my results now. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Or I'm going to say for each results as row, I'm going to do the same thing where I have my array. So I can copy a lot of this. Current row is going to be equal to an array. Current row. Oh, I forgot what they were. So current row. Name, person, location, cited. Name, person. Let me just copy that actually. Come on, let me copy you. Let me copy you. Okay. I don't like using all capitals. I don't. This drives me crazy that Dr. Jober does that. Name. So row. Name. Oops. Let's do this, and then so it's going to be person, location, cited. Like the cited date is in that weird SQL format, but for now it's fine. I would never do that in a site, but I'd probably change it. Return results array. Okay, let's see. Go back to our index. So here we should have the citings. Let's see if that actually works. It doesn't give us an error. It gives us an error. Get citings is spelled wrong. Database. Call to undefined method, get citings. Okay, that should have been fixed. Let's see. Okay, another error, connection 32. Should be, well, let's fix these errors I have here first. It might be that one. Line 32. Oh. Uncaught error to exec on Boolean, line 33. Okay, I'm doing something wrong. Let's look at the code. Okay, so if it's a Boolean, let's just do this right. So I'm getting an error. It's because select star from citings. That's why. But here I should do this. If oops, I should check the statement here. If statement, if not statement, so or Okay, statement is equal to false. An error occurred. So I'm going to return null. That'll just get rid. That's a bad error because you'll never know because you'll just think it's empty. Uncaught error, uncaught method, PDO sect in. It's execute. It's execute, right? Yeah. Okay. Execute. There we go. Okay, invalids for each in line 39. I'm doing something wrong. I need to fetch all. Yeah. Okay. So this is totally wrong. I should have read the documentation. Well, I mean, I've done this before. I actually taught a class in this, but it's been a while. So the statement's run, and the statement has values, and so I'm just gonna say fetch all, and it's gonna fetch everything into results, and then I should be able to do with that. Let me just see if this works, and I'll go over it again. Cited location. Same thing you had before. Okay, let me go over this again. Make sure it's case sensitive. Okay, we're not getting errors. Okay, so going back to this, I get the connection. I set the SQL. Okay, I prepare the statement, and this allows me to use this named variable, right? And the reason I use this is because when I pass values, I don't have to worry about quoting, escaping quotes, and so it's a lot more secure than doing something where you're concatenating up here, where you're concatenating, you know, I could have done something like select star from sightings where name is equal to, and then I'd have quotes, and then have to concatenate, sort of like, it'd have to be something that would look like this. Double quotes, single quote, double quotes, then that string, flower, single quotes, double quotes, single quote, right? But you could inject things in here. This is where we get SQL injection. So the prepare kind of make sure everything's escaped for me. So it's better. Okay, then it's going to say prepare the statement if it's true. If that worked, I'm going to get like a PDO statement. If it's not, I'm going to get a Boolean, and this Boolean checks to make sure if false and checks type as well. Okay, if it was worked, I'm going to execute, and I'm going to pass it an array that has the flower, and then the results are going to be statement fetch all, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to loop through and create a new array, and then sometimes here you'd also do some other stuff. You could parse it some different ways or do different stuff to your data. But go back to my index. I now have sightings, and then we're going to do the same thing we did up here for flowers. We're going to do down here. So PHP, I'm going to do for each sighting, as I need to say S to make it short on myself. I'm going to use the colon, and if I use the colon, that means later on I'm going to have to have it and for each. Okay, so I'm going to just wrap this in PHP. Make sure I haven't messed up yet. I haven't. Okay, and then I'm going to say, okay, we're going to create a table row. And then in that row, for each one of these, we're going to add the values. So we'll say TD, this is going to be name. TD. I'm going to copy this, just make it a little easier. Copy. So name, person, location cited. Person, location, cited. Okay, so if I go back here and select one, there we go. You know, now I think about it, what I should have done is I should have got rid of, oh, maybe I'll still do that. Okay, you know, just for a user perspective, I don't want to select one that's not available, right? Who cares? Okay. So if I do this, you can see it works, right? I'm still seeing all the persons, location, cited. Everything looks great. So next, let's do an update. So if we go to update, we need to be able to select a flower. We already know how to do that, right? So let's just copy that. So where's update? You just copy that code back there for the most part. So once you have like the index, it goes pretty fast. So database require database flowers, message null. I'm going to add that up here to the header. So I'm just adding the database, creating the database. I didn't ever close that last one. So let me do that because I say that's good practice. Here we're going to say database close. Make sure that still didn't kill anything. Oh, so I have nothing selected. So what I need to do here is in this here, if is set sightings only want to do that, and if I only want to do it if someone selected something. There we go. Oops. Undefined variable. Oh, so I should move this up. Let's move this up. It only shows up now if there's actually something selected. And I can move this end if outside this table here. So yeah, so now the table doesn't show up. I select outline. Nope. And I broke it. Oh, because I have a two spelling mistake. There we go. So we go back to the where it's nothing query. Doesn't show up. I select one. What if I select one? We select a flower. There we go. Okay, let's do an update. Like now that we have the syntax, let's do. So we do update, getting the flowers. Okay, so we save this. So flowers should now show up. Oh, maybe not. Required date. There we go. Oh, my thing got screwed up. Okay. Here's our flowers. The flowers are showing up because of the same code as before. I have an issue with my HTML. That's because I'm missing a form tag. We're going to probably do the same thing here. I'm going to say, okay, but in this case, we select a flower, and once we have the flower, we want to edit that flower. So looking back at our index our code here, it's going to be a lot of the same thing. I'm actually just going to cut and paste here this part and just edit as I need to. So if get, if I have the flower, we're going to say if this flower is set to -1, please select a flower, else we're going to get the flower. But in this case, oh, actually, it might need to add something to the database. We need to get the flower. So public function get flower details, and we're going to say, I actually have it here. Oh, okay. Okay, I don't need to do this. I already have the information there. I'm going to make one little edit to my get flowers, where it's here. I'm going to name it. So the name is now common name. Okay, so what does that let me do? This allows me, I already have an array of my flowers. Now I'm just going to be, this just allows me to index, to get it by the name. So I could find exactly which information belongs to that common name. So I go back to my update. Flower is equal to get flower, and I'm going to say requested flower. Do little changes here. Is get flower, and the flower is actually going to be flowers, and then the flower requested flower. Okay, and then if I look at my code, so down here, we're going to hide it if it's already selected. So if we're going to do two things. If message is equal to null and not is set flower, they're going to show the form. And if actually going to do else, and down here, also going to show this form. This is just like some logic to help to make it a little bit nicer. This has nothing to do with the database itself yet. Okay. So all I did was I'm going to get the flower. I got the flower details, right? If messages are null, because this will make sure that if I select one, I push submit, it's there. I select Alpine. Oh, I'm missing the go button. Uh-oh, uh-oh. What happened to my go button? Oh, I didn't copy it over, I guess. Deleted it. Select. It should be here. Okay, select one, good to go. Oh, flowers -1. So right there, I messed up, right? Because that should not show. If message is null and it's not set. Oh. There we go. Oh, is null. or the, okay. Select one. I'm not getting my message. Oh, I forgot to copy my message over. Where is it? Update. Is Flower getting set? No, I want this to be and because I want to reuse the message. I just don't know why Flower seems to be getting set. Am I calling it wrong? No. Trying to find a set and it's not null. I don't know why. This is true. Message is null. Oh wait, no. Oh, okay. Message is not null. Oh, but this is not set. So yeah, it's gonna be or. Okay. Get confused here. Please select a flower. Select a flower. Select a flower. And I'm getting there. So message should be null, and flower should at that point be set. Oh, I don't need. Okay, so I need this to show if it's not set. Only if it's not set. Let me go back and make sure it works. Select one, select a flower, it's set. Okay, so I have my form here, but it's not filled out, right? So I need to go, the flower should be there. Here's my form. This method is going to post, and then so everywhere I see a value, I need to add the PHP in order to say, to get the value. So it's there, just like you expect when you're in a form. I'm going to copy that. If I did this right, it should be pretty straightforward. Common name. Okay. So let's refresh that, and there we go. Okay. So it's there. So that's good. But when I do submit, what happens? Right now, nothing. Right? So what we need to do, so we know if there's get the flower, so, and then when I submit, notice that the URL stays the same. Okay. What we need to do now is check if it is set. I'm doing it to post. So I'm checking if, and actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one thing, and this is just to make sure you don't get, because what you can end up doing is have people screw things up. I'm going to add a hidden field here. Name is equal to edit flower. Value is going to be equal to the common name. Instead of relying on the one that's in the URL. And so type is hidden. So what this means is it'll be passed as a hidden field, so I'll be able to access it, and I'll be able to use it up here at the top without relying on the flower to pass in the URL. Because you could, it's just a little safer. Okay, so I'm going to reset the flower, or request flower. Oh, I'm going to make sure this is set. And is set so we're not posting from somewhere else or cross posting, which even though PHP will stop that. Request or post, what do I call it? Edit flower. So with that set, we're going to say request flower is equal to edit flower. And then I'm going to say, what's it? Genus is equal to post genus. Species is equal to post species, and com name is equal to post com name. Okay, what am I missing? A quote here. There we go. Okay, so here, hopefully what I'm expecting is that I get the data, and then just make sure that runs and compiles. And if I look at the source here, view the page source, so we see the hidden right here. So it's hidden, the edit flower, we have the common name. So everything's looking pretty good. So now if I submit it, I should be able to get the data. And right now, nothing's going to happen, right? Because what we need to do is actually send it to our database, update flower, and then I already started the method signature here. Let me just, update flower. Let's make it single. Update flower. So we'll only update one flower. I can just, since I should just be able to copy and paste this since I named them the same. Oh, I named flower, genus, species, common name. So this would have to be requested flower because it's possible to change it, right? That's how I'm going to do this lookup. And then here, if this is the result, if it's true, I'm going to say, or message is equal to flower, or I could say request flower updated, else message flower not saved. Okay. Oh, it's not updated. Or I should probably say the same thing, right? And in this case, yeah, okay, that's good enough. I usually have a lot little more smarts here to know that to change it, be able to change the color of the message. But I'm running out of time because I don't know how long I've been on here, but it feels like it's been a while. Okay, so we're gonna update the flower, same things. Make sure the connection's open, set the SQL, and then remember our SQL is going to be update flowers. We're editing everything. Com name, genus, species, update. Oh, this is update flowers. I forgot the update syntax for some reason. Update flowers. It's like I can't believe I forgot syntax. Let's see. Yeah, update set. Okay, set com name is equal to com name. Genus is equal to genus. Species is equal to species. And remember, get where com name. Oops, I'm not supposed to use colons, aren't I? I'm supposed to escape these. Genus, species, where com name is equal to flower. I'm gonna call flower, okay, and then statement. This dot connection dot prepare SQL if statement is equal to false. I'm going to return false. And then otherwise, I'm going to say, I'm going to create the array. Statement. Execute. There's going to be an array. Array. I'm actually going to make it on different lines. I want to escape the lines. Array, and then we're going to say com name. This probably would be the case just to use the question marks. Com name, comma, genus equal to genus, species set to species, and then flower set to flower. Okay, so let's look at the PDO doc. So when we set a PDO execute, PDO statement, it's a PDO statement, so we're going to say execute. It returns true on success. So I could just say if it's true, I'm trying to see what it returns on an insert. It should just be a true. Sometimes it's actually the okay, let's see, PDO statement return on update. Get the row count, but screw it. We'll just say if it happens, if that executes correctly, returns true, return true, or actually no, even better. just return it. Return the value of the statement. Okay, let's see what that happens. Line 20. Oops. Syntax error and line 20 of update. If our message oh, got a semicolon. I have an error in my array. Database 57. Am I missing? Okay, let's see. If I learned how to spell array. Okay, so it looks like that works. I'm gonna try change this to we edited this. I submit it. Alpine coal mine updated. I don't believe you because we're getting some errors. 16 and 17. And update. Species, common name, and genus in lines 16, 17, and 18. So did I not name it right? Oh, same problem I had before. So if you watch this, you'll understand why you're getting the error. If you didn't, it's gonna drive people crazy. I may have to fix it. I don't know. It's getting late. I'm getting tired. Name, com name. Well, it really depends what browser they're using, I guess. Edit flower. Okay. Let's try this again. Let's try starting from the scratch. I have an error there. Edited. Okay, Alpine. We're gonna go back to the quick update because you notice it didn't change there. Alpine, here it is right here. But it shows edited here. It's because of where I have I'm getting the flowers after I edit the flowers. So if we say submit. Wait. So if I need to change this here to afterwards. Because that way, or actually no, it's not there. Because I'm actually saving the flower, and then so here I'm actually going to move this down here. After my save. Oh, but I always need it. Okay. Okay, we'll do it here. We'll just do it. We're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna undo actually what I just said. But here I'm gonna read. Actually, I'm gonna move this down. I'm gonna redo the if. So we're gonna move this down here. I'm gonna need an if else statement here. Else. I need to get the flowers. Okay, let's see if that worked. So I'm gonna edit 2, and then it should work. And I should go to be able to get update. It's kind of a bad UI because I have to go back here. first we do select one, select a flower. Okay, so that gives you pretty much the idea. Looking back at our database code, we're doing the same thing we did before, where we have the update, we set the names, we set the array and execute it. For add, it's going to be the same exact thing. Like I could write this code. For add, you just do the same thing you did here, except you change it to insert, sightings, the parentheses, the values, and then you prepare the statement, and then you create the URL. So it's pretty much just like we did the update, except pretty much exactly the same actually. Get the flowers, and then you do this kind of thing where you get the information from the database. You use insert, and you could do a message like, so this, I'm going to move this into here so that it only shows up on the flower, and if it shows up down here, I'm going to make this not danger, but success, I think it's called. Let's look real quick. This is top. Yeah, success. So it should be green if I save it. Oh, it didn't turn green. Backgrounds. There we go. Oh, but if I get an error, it didn't work. It's not gonna be. It's gonna show green anyways. I'm gonna update another one. I just got to go back here. Okay, so you get the idea. I'll post the code. It needs some modifications based on what you saw in here, but I think that's pretty much enough to get you going. All you really need to do, other than following this video, is do the add sighting, where you grab the flower, which we know how to do. You actually grab the location, select box, and you just need to add, let people edit this, put submit, save it, and then you're all set. So good luck. All right.